Yeah, YouTubers, Tasman here, bringing you another episode of Learn JavaScript using Foundry VTT. And in our last episode, we kind of recapped some errors I had from the first episode. I don't think I have any real errors from the last episode now. Um, but basically, I just barely finished recording it. So, anyway, we're going to continue on, and I believe this will be the third and final part of our little part here on operators, and then we'll move on to the next thing. So anyway, let's continue on. So the next type of operators that we actually have are called comparison operators, and you probably know these from regular math. We have them in all of our different maths and stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. And I'm thinking I might just copy from my notes what I have, because then you don't have to watch me try and type it. And then just paste it, and then we'll just go through each one and talk about them. Because a lot of them are very self-explanatory, and in basic math you've learned these things. And so we really probably don't need to do too much time on them. PAR, is it comparison, right? So doesn't look right. I think it is though. COMPARISON. OPRDORS. Okay. So basically, the biggest thing about a comparison operator is when we're evaluating them, they always return a Boolean value. So they always return either true or false. They do not return any other kind of value. It just doesn't even make sense, because, I mean, we're comparing things, and it's telling, are they compared? Are they equal, or are they not equal? You know, or are they greater or lower or whatever. So let's go ahead. The first thing we're going to do is I'm going to just create two numbers that we're going to use for our different comparisons. So we're going to create a const. We'll call it num1, or we could just do n1. Actually, I'm going to do num1 because that's what I have in my notes. And we're going to set that to 77, right? And then we're going to do const, and we're going to do num2. And we're going to set that to 23. And then I'm going to copy and paste my notes underneath that, and we're going to talk about it. So this gets really ugly because it's long. Can we go just a little bit? Yeah, that's fine. So the first thing we're going to talk about, obviously, is the greater than symbol. And the way you would use it is just like this. You would say number1 greater than number2. Ignore this part that's in the little quote here before the question mark. This is just for visualization to say is number1 greater than number2. And then we actually do the comparison right here. So notice this is saying simply that number, and this is saying that number. And this is simply a character that's being printed out. It's not actually the comparison operator in this case, because it's within the string. When we come here, we're actually doing a comparison. You'll notice we don't have the values, all separated out like we do here. So we have num1 greater than num2. In this case, number 1 is greater than number 2, and we will get a true. So we'll get the word true. The next one is the complete opposite. We have num1, num2. Here we're getting wait, why did I do two of these? Num1. Oh, we're actually doing num1 twice, just to show you that we get a false. So here we're saying is 77 greater than 77, and the answer is no, it's not. It's the same. And the reason I did that is because down here we talk about the greater than equal to. Like I said, this is some of the basic math that we've already all learned. And I do the exact same thing with our less than. I first do number 2 is number 2 less than number 1? You'll notice I actually change them, and that will give us, actually, does that give us true? I wrote the wrong number, the wrong value there, because number 2 is less than number 1, so this actually, maybe I need to proof my notes. This should be true, right? Then we have number 1 is less than number 1. Same thing as above. It's equal to itself, so it's definitely not less than, and we will get false there. Then we come into the reason that I gave the number one as a value is because we do have the greater than equal to. So if we go here and we say is number 1 greater than 78, we know it's 77, so the answer is false. However, is number 1 greater than equal to 77? Greater than or equal to 77 will get true because 77 is equal to. So it's that second part. It's not greater than, but it is equal to. So it is greater than equal to that. Then we do the same thing with the less than. We say is number 1 less than 76? Well, it's 77, so it's greater than, therefore we get false. And then we do the exact same thing here, saying is number 1 less than or equal to 77, and we actually get that saying that it is true. It is equal to 77. Then we have some that might not be known. So in programming, equals is an assignment operator. We cannot use it for comparison. So we can't say is 3 equal to 4, right? We actually have to do double equals to represent that it is the comparison operator. In other words, it just thinks we're trying to assign 77 into num1, and that's not what we want. So we have the comparison operator. So this is saying is number 1 equal to 77? Because number 1 was 77, this will return true. Then we need to check if it's not equal, and that's what we use this little exclamation point. We're saying not equal. So here we're saying is number 1 not equal to 77, and we also get true. We can also do this with strings. So here we're doing is num1 equal to the string 77, and it's going to return true because it's actually looking at the value, and it's automatically saying, well, I could convert this to the number 77. So if we wanted to force the program to say, no, this is not the string 77, that they're two different things because this is a string and this is a number, we can use what's called the strict equal operator, which is 3 equals. And what this does is not only does it check the value, but it also checks the type and says, hey, is the value and type equal? And in this case, we get false. So that's kind of an important thing to remember. We've seen some auto conversion stuff going on, and equals will not always work the way you expect it. So a really good idea is to always use the triple equals and use this only if you absolutely have to, because then you're gonna 100% know. Now there also, I don't know, I don't have it here. Actually, I have it somewhere in here, I thought. There's also the strict not equal to. I don't know why I don't have it in here, where we could take this right here, hit C, and paste it right here. And we could say the strict not equals, which is exclamation point equals 77. So in this case, we're still going to get that it is false. Oh, we need to put it there too, because this type and this type are different. So we could say FALC. So let's go ahead and run that, and we'll kind of get that idea. So come down and make sure we're right. So the first one there is true. Second one is false. We got true and then false again. Then we got, where are we at? We're on the not equal, so we got false, and then Where am I at? I'm right here. And then true, and then false, and then true. And then we have the double equals saying is 77, 77. Yep, that's true. Is 77 not equal to 77? That's false, of course. Then we are doing our string. So you can see that the number 77 is still equal to what we consider the string of 77. But if we say is 77 equal to 77, we get false. And then if we say is 77 not, I don't think I changed that one right. That is true actually, because it is not. So TRUE. So there we go. So we have true as that last one. Hopefully that makes sense. It's a little confusing. Like I said, these upper ones are probably really clear. However, when we're doing a comparison on equals, these two right here, the equal and the not equal, it's best not to use them, just because you might run into something where you're comparing a string to an actual number, and you might expect it to actually throw an error, but then it's not going to. So maybe later, maybe earlier in the program, we're checking, we get some input, we forget to actually convert this to a number, and then later on in the program, we're trying to do something where it's not going to like this, it's going to throw an error. So if we use the triple equals, we'll know that yes, we've actually got the exact same. We've got the same value and the same type. And same with that guy. So that's the biggest thing I want you to get out of there. So the next thing we're going to talk about is called truthy and falsy values. So there are a bunch of values that in JavaScript are automatically considered false, aside from the Boolean value false. And if we evaluate things, so if we trying to think of the best way I actually demonstrate this. I'm going to copy my stuff again because it's just a big list and we're going to talk about this. So I'm going to hit V. So falsy values, anything like a default thing that is quotes with no space or nothing in them, those are considered false. 0, -0, not that I've ever really seen that, or the big int version of 0, all is considered false. The Boolean value is considered false. The value of undefined is considered false. The value null is considered false. And the not a number, the nan, we actually had that pop up when we were, what were we doing? We were adding a number and, no, we were timesing? I don't remember. We tried timesing dog by 2, I think, and we got not a number. So this is obviously when it's expecting it, it's expecting a number, but it doesn't get it, it'll throw a not a number at you. So falsy values, if I'm evaluating, an empty string, I'm going to get false. And these are things that are kind of important to remember, especially when we get to like logical operators and stuff, because we might say if this and this equal, if they both evaluate to true, then we do something. But if one of them is a 0, because that's a number in there, but it's an actual number, it's not an empty value, it would still evaluate to false. I know that's very confusing, but as we progress through this, it'll probably make more sense for you. Now, we also have logical operators. So technically this isn't an operator, but to really get more out of the logical operators, you kind of have to understand this. So we have logical operators, and to do those, I mean, we've already seen the one. We've seen the not operator, right? There's also what's called the AND operator. So we're comparing two things. We're saying this value and this value if they're the same. And usually when you're doing the and or type things, you're checking a condition. So for example, let's go ahead, let's do logical operators real quick. L-O-G-I, logical operators. So the first one is, and I'm going to have to put this in here. Well, let me think. Yeah, I'm going to put this in here because we've actually talked about the not up here, right? Not equal. And that's exactly how you would use it here. You could say, you know, like, let's just do bang and say, this is the, I'm going to put in some more here and just say the not operator. We'll go over these in just a minute. The next one is the AND operator, and this is if you're checking two conditions. So we could say, for example, I'm trying to think the best way to do this. And we'll call this the, let's put a couple of spaces there. And we'll do this is the AND operator. We also have the OR operator. I'm just going to get them all jotted down real quick. And then we have one, no, OR, there we go. And then we have one that's actually called the nullish coalescing operator, which is just like the OR operator, but a tiny bit different. And we're going to talk about that, which is just double question marks. So if we come here and, of course, do this, we can N-U-L-L-I-S, nullish, C-O-A-L-E-S-C-I-N-G, nullish coalescing. So we've kind of already gone over the not up above, but I'm trying to think of a good example that we could do. Let's do this for the not. Let's say we have a variable. We'll just do a const, and we're going to set a Boolean variable. So we're going to set it to is true. And we're going to set it to start to true. Okay? So we can use the condition to figure out if true is set by using what's called an if statement. And we're just, like I said, a lot of this stuff, it's kind of hard to explain it without jumping ahead. So if you're following along, just type this blindly or whatever, and we will definitely be going over this later. So we're going to have an if statement. This is something we use in our everyday life all the time. You know, we come to a stop sign, or as we're approaching a stop sign, or if we see a stop sign, there you go. If we see a stop sign, we stop. Other words, we don't, right? If the light is green, we go. If the light is red, we stop. If the light is yellow, we gun it. I'm kidding. We shouldn't gun it. So if we want to check if is true. Well, this is not going to be good. Let's say, let's change it to is running. So some kind of program is running, right? Doing is true and is true. That's not going to work. So we can check if it is running by saying is running. And this is going to evaluate and say, is it running, right? So if it is running, it's going to execute what's here. Otherwise, or else, it's going to run what's in this little section of code. Like I said, just bear with me for a minute. So here we're going to say console. I did that wrong. Console.log. And we're going to say true. Just like that. And then this other one, we're just going to say false. And we might be able to use the same thing for the other ones. So this is called a conditional statement. There's two conditions. If one condition is true, it does one thing. If a condition is false, it does another thing. So we're going to change this to false. Make it look the same. Okay, so because is running is true here, that means if is running, it's going to run this section. So if we go ahead, clear this, and then hit run, you'll see we get true, right? If we want to check if it's the opposite, if we want to check if it's not running, all we would have to do is put that little not symbol right there. And now it says if it is not running, select true. Well, it is running, so it's not running. It's not true, so it's actually going to do false. So if we run this, now we'll see we get false. At the moment, that's the best way I can explain the logical not operator. And that's just because it gets into this other stuff. So for the next part, we're going to go ahead and check the AND operator. And I'm trying to think, do I want to do this? Maybe copy this and paste it again. But we're going to have a second thing. Say, is running, like if this is a car, is it running and do we have gas, I guess? I don't know. So let's do const and has a gas. And we'll set this to true as well. Okay? Oh, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Okay, we'll set that to true as well. So now let's go ahead and grab this. We're going to do this. And now we're going to use our AND operator. So an AND operator is going to say that both values or both conditions have to be true in order for the whole thing to be true. So let's say if we are checking if the engine's running, so we could say if is running and double and has gas. Right? So if this is true and this is true, then we're going to get true. If either of these are false, we're going to get false, or if both of them are false, we're going to get false. So let's go ahead and run that, and we'll see that we get true, because yes, it is running, and yes, it does have gas. So if we change either of these, like if we negate them and say not has gas, you'll see that we will now get false. So there we go, we got false, and that is because, like I said, this one returns true because yes, it is running. However, not has gas has to be true, and it actually has gas, so it's false. So the opposite of has gas, which is, that's a good way to think of it, is kind of invert your answer. So has gas is true, and then this inverts it to false, right? So a false and a true is not true, it evaluates to false. I wonder, do I need to have a truth table? Maybe we'll do that later. Or actually, I still have a Photoshop behind. So let's go ahead, and I will quickly, hopefully, drop the truth table. How much time we got? We're at 23. This might go a little long, but that's okay. So here's our AND truth table. And it's kind of hard doing with the mouse. So we're going to have a true and a false. And we're going to have a true and a false. And we're going to go ahead and do our thing. So with an AND, both things have to be true. So if one is true and the second one's true, we get a true. If one is false and the second, or one is false or true and the second one is false, we get a false. If first is false and the second one's true, we still get a false. And if the first and second are false, we get a false. Then we have the OR operator, or logical operator, and we could say true and false, and true and false. draw our square here. So with an OR operator, only one of them have to be true. So in this case, if both are true, it's true. If first is false, second is true, one of them is true, so it's true. If the first one is true and the second one is false, it is still true because one or the other is true. However, if both are false, we get a false. So these are what you're going to return when you're doing this, right? You're going to have the and. You have to have both of them be true. The or, you only have to have one of them be true for the whole thing to evaluate to true. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, so if we come back, this is our and operator, and we ran that and we got false there. So now we can go ahead and change that back. Let's go ahead and copy this again. Control C because it's quick. Add a bunch of carriage returns there. Let's go ahead and do our OR operator. OR is the two pipes. And we're going to show you what I mean. So if I have, let's say we're evaluating, let's add one more here, const const, and let's do gas a, no, AMOUNT. I don't know, this isn't going to really logically make sense. I'm going to set it to 0. So here we're saying, okay, we have 0 gas, or, you know, that logically this isn't going to make sense. And I can't think off the top of my head how a situation where it's going to make sense. Maybe, let me think real quick. Maybe passengers. Let's change this to passengers. So this is a bus or something, and it can leave when there is no passengers. But if there's absolutely no one on the bus, like even a driver, it definitely couldn't leave, right? So if we come in here and we do our OR and maybe say is running, and do we want to say passengers? I think we can just say passengers. Passengers. Do I want to say? All I want to really show you here is that the falsy, that 0 is considered falsy. This is going to return 0, which should be a falsy. So I'm thinking this should still say true because a 0 is a falsy value and is running is true. But if we said is running is false, let's just do not is running. This is really confusing. Or passengers. I don't. Let's run this. I'm really curious. I'm not sure if it's going to run right or not. So technically, because this is an OR and this is 0, 0 is a number, right? Where this one is set to false. So we should have 1 true, 1 false here. But if we get this, you'll see we actually get double false, meaning it can't run. And that's just because I don't think I can change that to a number and have it actually work. Because then it's just or 1. I don't know, let's try it. Actually, that did work. So, because it is a number, we want it to still be able to be true, but this one's false. So, in this case, let's set that back to 0. Because this is a falsy value, this is being considered false, even though there is a value in there. I guess if we're checking if it's not null or not empty or something, I think that might work. So if we do the last one, which is the coalescing, what I call it, the coalescing, where did I write that? The nullish coalescing operator. If we do that and we do the question marks here, it actually ignores the fact that this is a falsy value, but actually has a value in it. So if we run this, we should still get true because this is false, but this one's true. This is really confusing, I know. So now, wait. Did that not return right? So not running, which is false. Passengers, which is 0. It shouldn't look at it. We should actually be getting a thing there. But we're getting a false. All right. I'm going to put a note here, and in the next one, I'm going to clarify this. I want to find some good examples, and I'm going to clarify this. So I'm going to put a little to-do here. A to-do and clarify. Because we're at 31 minutes, so I want to end this episode, but I'm going to go ahead and look this up, figure out how I can explain it better. Because off the top of my head, I'm not doing very well. But anyway, that's the big difference. The nullish coalescing operator is just like the OR operator. However, it ignores falsy values, such as the 0 and empty strings. So I think we're going to go ahead and call it here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a thumbs up down below. Aside from that, comment, like, and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter. Check out my Discord and my other channels. And don't forget to click the notification bell that I always forget to mention. Tell other people about my channel. Have them check it out. If they like what they see, they can sub and we grow the channel. And that is it, my friends. Until next time, I'll be seeing you later. Bye.